for Ayurveda. So that is there. Let's start. There's a few more people, but maybe they will come a little later. And as we go, it's a live class. So as we go, please, you can ask me as many questions as you like. Don't feel like you're interrupting me. I really value that open dialogue, and I feel always when we ask good questions, we can learn the most. So just if I leave a pause, you can unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can raise a hand and I will ask you. For today's topic, I thought to start at the very, very beginning of Ayurveda, and that is an understanding of what is our own constitution, what is our doshic makeup, what is our biomedical, psychological makeup, and how can we bring more balance into our life. Before we start, let me offer my gratitude to my teachers. For those of you who know this mantra, you can sing it, recite it with me. Otherwise, I'm going to recite it to offer my respects to all the people who handed down this knowledge for me. I did not figure out Ayurveda by myself. I was very fortunate to learn from some amazing teachers. And in the beginning of any discourse on knowledge or spiritual knowledge, it always behooves to respect and to remember our gurus. So also you, if you have some guru figures in your life, you're welcome to close your eyes and show your gratitude to them. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, so today, my goal for today's class is to explore the 7 pillars of well-being, which are 7 realms of our life that we should be aware of and that we need to consider when considering well-being. We will understand some basic principles of Ayurveda. We will learn how to identify our own constitution and technically also the constitution of anyone around us, and how to recognize the first signs of imbalances. Many of us have been to the doctor, maybe to do a blood check, or maybe you have done some scanning in your body if everything is okay. But way before even our blood test will go off, way before we have to go to the doctor to scan our organs or do whatever it is, there are signs that our body is giving us. In the same way, like gray hair, they are a sign that we're getting older. And that one day, sooner or later, we will have to leave this body to enter a new body. So in the same way also, our body gives us signs before disease start. And Ayurveda is actually really great in recognizing the sign as early as possible and bringing in some balance. We will learn what that means, what are harmonic choices to balance. We will also learn how to practice daily rhythms. Some of the people here have studied astrology with me, and those who study astrology with me or those who listen, they know that there is the sun, which represents our health, our vitality, and our soul. And then we have the bitter enemy of the sun, which is Saturn, who's the giver of suffering, of grief, and of all disease. And the sun is very rhythmic. It is very stable. It has a routine. The sun always rises at a calculatable time and sets at the very same time. While Saturn, he's a little bit irregular, even in the sky. He hovers a little bit. It's very hard to predict about Saturn in the same way. He hovers around. He's a little gloomy character, and he's also the major cause of disease. So if we align ourselves with the sun and if we live a rhythmic life, we're much less likely to get sick. But if we have no rhythm in our eating, in our sleeping, in our recreation, in our life, then our life quality will be significantly compromised. So we learned a little bit about that. And obviously I try to keep it as practical as I can. A little bit of philosophy and a lot of application. And for all of you who stay to the end, it's 60 to 90 minutes. For all of you who stay at the end, you will also get a handout with some food tips for your constitution, and also a 21-day checklist if you wanted to accept the challenge to bring your life into balance for the next 21 days. Okay. So, and how we're going to achieve those outcomes, we have eight chapters. And first, we'll speak a little bit about the relevance of Ayurveda today. Is it relevant after all? Then what is Ayurveda? We will explore the 7 pillars. We will learn about a little bit of reality, the Gunas, the Bhutas, the Doshas. If you don't know the terms, don't worry, I will break it down. I try to use as little as Sanskrit as possible. We will learn about the constitution imbalance afterwards, then how to balance, practice, Q&A, closing, and at the end there's some special gifts. There's actually a secret gift that is also coming. So please stay till the end to get your secret gift. Okay. Now, what is the relevance of Ayurveda today? Why is it worth to sit here and learn Ayurveda in the first place? Why should anyone learn Ayurveda, right? So a few reasons that I thought were super interesting is that number one, most people today live lives which are very out of sync. Like we have people who have very very irregular meal times. We have very irregular sleep times. We are always overstimulated, right? With social media, with computers, with screens, with so many things in our life. Life today, it is so stressful, right? Back in the days, people, they used to rise just before the sun. When the sun would go down, people know it's time to sleep. There was no screens, there was no phones. People used to live so much more peaceful lives. It was much easier to connect with nature if you would live in the jungle or you would live in the forest, but now we live in like concrete jungles. And as a result, everyone's getting sick, right? We can see that so many people today are stressed. So many people today are burned out. So many people have digestive disorders, right? So many people are under medication. Like so many people, they're taking SSRIs. I think that's how I say it, like antidepressants or medication for sleep, to sleep. So many people having autoimmune disorders. Like at least this week, I had 5 people that came to me who had autoimmune problems. Also, so many people have cancer. I mean, kind of every second person today has ADHD. Every third person today has autism. I mean, it's pretty crazy, isn't it, right? So Ayurveda is actually really relevant because Ayurveda gives us a way that we can understand these things, not just as a pathology, not just as, oh my God, you were born with ADHD and your whole life you will be like that, and your whole life you'll have to be dependent on some medication. No, Ayurveda helps us to understand these things as an imbalance that has occurred now because of your lifestyle, because of your food choices, because of the lifestyle of your parents, etc., etc. And in that regard, I can share a little story, just a short story. And that is many years ago when I came back from India for the first time. I was a monk at that time. And I was feeling very fatigued. It was just 1 month after my trip to India and I was still really tired. I was really fatigued. I was 21 or something, really young and energetic. And I would come back from India and I was just feeling so tired, like I had to sleep 2 hours more than usual. And I was just constantly fatigued. So I went to the doctor to find out what's wrong with me. And the doctor, he looked into my ear, he checked my lung, he hit the hammer to my knee, he did all of that. And he couldn't really find anything. So he asked me like, hey, like, what have you been doing? And I said, oh, I just came back from India. So he sent me to get a blood test done to get tested for malaria. But I knew I didn't have malaria. So all of these tests that he did with me, they were quite, they actually did not really find the problem. And there were some questions he did not ask me. Afterwards, I saw an Ayurvedic doctor and she asked me, oh, like, tell me more about your life. Like, when do you go to sleep? What do you eat for dinner? And he was able to ask much more precise questions to find the problem. And that was really, and basically my problem was that I was eating dinner at like 9 p.m. and was having really big dinners. And therefore I couldn't sleep at night, obviously. And therefore I was feeling fatigued, etc. there was a few more factors, but it was all connected to my diet and lifestyle. And often we can see in our standard pathology, we don't ask these questions, and therefore Ayurveda becomes super relevant. And a lot of diseases which are considered chronic in our medical system, according to Ayurveda, they can definitely be treated, because every meal that we have, every choice that we make in our life, if you're going to exercise now or not, if you're going to meditate or not, every choice that we make is an opportunity to reset our body. And if we are continuously resetting our body, if we're continuously balancing our body through food and lifestyle, like so many otherwise chronic conditions, they can actually be really much lived with. So a little bit on that. Also, just a slight difference between Ayurveda and modern application. Ayurveda really favors sustainable lifestyle and sustainable change, while Western medicine is really good in like dropping a pill or in like surgery or whatever for emergencies. It's great, but Western medicine often can lack, especially allopathic medicine can lack an advice for what would be a sustainable lifestyle that that can cure the problem, rather than just fixing a symptom. How can we really address the cause? Now, Ayurveda also is really nice because it has a holistic view, because it really integrates our body, our psychology, and even our spirituality. Because ultimately, why do you want to be healthy? According to Ayurveda, why do you want to have a healthy body? Why do you want to have a healthy mind? So that you can live a meaningful and purposeful life. And in Ayurveda, we can also see that every disease, it has an emotional component. For example, if a person has problems with the liver, it means they have some anger issues. If a person has a problem with their breathing, with their lungs, it's usually because of grief. If a person has problems with their thyroid, it's because they experience shame or guilt, etc., etc. So there's this huge, this amazing side of seeing the connection between psychology and our physiology, which I think is super fascinating. And why now? I mean, I think I answered all these questions. So let's skip that. Let's get going. So what is Ayurveda actually? Does anyone here know the meaning of Ayurveda? Yes, Miss Ganga Mata Goswamini.
I don't know if it's fair to ask me though, because I mean, a little cute. Isn't it the science of life?
Love
The
it.
direct
Love it. That's
translation.
right. No, I just missed the last sentence. What did you say at the end?
Oh no, I just said the direct translation. If we had to give a translation to it.
Exactly, that's right. Ayur. And excuse my handwriting, yeah. Ayur means life, and Veda literally means knowledge. So all that Ayurveda is the science of life, how to live a good life, how to have vitality. And sometimes when people ask me, what is Ayurveda? I say, oh, it is the Indian equivalent to Chinese medicine. But it's not really the Indian equivalent to Chinese medicine. Like, it is the science of life. It's a universal science of life. And it is a really amazing system. And what is the aim of Ayurveda? So I'm going to share a verse with you from Charaka Samhita. Charaka Samhita is one of the ancient 1,000-year-old texts. And there it says, Svastasya svasya rakshanam aturasya vikara prashamanam. Svastasya svasya rakshana means to preserve the health of the healthy. So let's write that. To preserve the health of the healthy. So that means if you're a healthy person, and then if you live an Ayurvedic lifestyle, you will have health for your major portion of your life. So if a healthy person follows Ayurveda, then it's a little bit like you develop superpowers, right? And those who follow an Ayurvedic lifestyle and who have good vitality, who are in a more healthier, or who are maybe in a younger phase of their life, and if they start practicing Ayurveda early, they will see they have more energy, they need less sleep, they start to look more, not giving myself as an example, but other people, they start looking more pretty. They have a natural glow. They have peace of mind, right? And those who practice Ayurveda, they know what I mean, right? If you're already healthy and you follow Ayurveda, you just become more healthy. That's the first aim. And the second aim of Ayurveda is to cure the disease of the sick. cure disease of the sick. So that means if a person's ill, if they follow Ayurveda, they become healthy. How amazing. And therefore, the goal of Ayurveda, it's both to prevent disease and also to cure disease. And often the recommendations we would give to a sick person sometimes could be even the same recommendation we would give to a person who's already healthy. And if the healthy person does it, he will only become more vibrant. And if the person who's sick does it, eventually he will become healthy. How cool is that, right? And the origin of Ayurveda, well, some people say, and that is technically the most politically correct you could go. Some people say Ayurveda is originated about 5,000 years ago and in India. And the story is that the sages in India, they were really concerned because they felt that, life is so precious, and after so many lifetimes on incarnations in different animal species, finally people have become human beings, but now they're plagued by disease and they're plagued by catastrophes, and that's why they're all having very short lives. And the sages thought, oh no, that is so concerning. The people, they need to live longer so they can really realize their purpose and their place in the cosmos. And in their meditation, they perceived all these amazing principles of Ayurveda. And then some of these sages, they had schools, they passed them on. And then we have some great writers such as Charaka or who put them into writing. So that is the most politically correct story you could tell. Everyone these days would agree to that. However, actually it is not completely correct, because in the Charaka Samhita itself, I thought it was really cool. It is described that Ayurveda actually is eternal because it has no beginning, it has no end, because it deals with the nature of reality, and nature is eternal, and therefore also the knowledge of reality is also eternal. And it's just at different times that people perceive it, and in different cycles of time it is there available to human culture, and then people get all their nuclear bombs and destroy themselves, and then it starts again. And therefore Ayurveda is actually eternal. But according to our Western culture and colonialism, we cannot really take that. So we say it's 5,000 years old because that's as far backwards as we can think. So you can choose your own story. Yeah. And the scope of Ayurveda, basically, it covers all aspects of life, from your nutrition to your movement, to your cleansing, to your connections, your friendships, your relationships, to your hobbies, your inspiration, and also to the amount of peace that you have. And I forgot one here, your sleep. So we can see, oops, no one saw that. So we can see Ayurveda has this huge physical component related to our body. And then it also has psychological components related to our mind. And then ultimately also it has a spiritual component, because why do you want to be healthy? So that you can make the most out of this human life. Okay, a little bit on that. What are some foundational principles of Ayurveda? There's another verse from Charaka Samhita, from the yogic text. Sama dosha samagnischa sama dhatu malakriyaha prasatnat mendriyamana svasta itya bideyate, which means that he is healthy whose dosha, Agni, let's write this down, dosha, Agni, Dhatu, and Mala are in balance, and whose senses, soul, and mind are in a state of contentment. So dosha has no real English equivalent, but we could say constitution. Agni means digestion. Dhatu means tissue. And Mala means waste. So if you learn about all these four, dosha, agni, dhatu, and mala, we can give you your PhD in Ayurveda and you have learned everything that is there to know. In today's class, we will go really deep into one thing, right? I just give you a general overview and then we just dive deep into one thing and all the practical life lessons that can completely change your life. And today we're really going to understand dosha, constitution. But to be complete, dosha, it's just 1 out of 4. We also, at some point, if you really want to imbibe Ayurveda completely, at some point we'll also have to learn about digestion, because we only have 90 minutes today. I cannot go so much into that. And we also have to learn about our tissues, which means like our skin, our flesh, our muscles. There's a science to them. And then mala means obviously our waste products, which is our stool, our urine, and our sweat. So sometimes, I think some of you have been for an Ayurvedic constitution with me before, and some were like 1/3 into the consultation, I start asking, so tell me, how many times, how's your bowel movement? Tell me, how many times a day do you have your bowel movement? And everyone's like, why do you ask me that? And then they tell me, and then after they answer me, then the next question is, then, is it formed or unformed? It should look like a ripe banana, and and they're like I thought, why are you asking me? And then after I said, and did you sweat today? Like every day you should sweat. So that is mala, but it's not part of today's class. But we go really deep into constitution, into dosha. Then another important principle first principle to understand that balance or health means to have balance between your constitution, your digestion, in all the layers of your tissue, which would technically also include chakra system, and then also to have good waste. Now, another foundational principle of Ayurveda is in the interconnectedness, that our body is not different from it's not separate from our mind and from our environment. So that is why the previous text also said that a person, to be healthy, he also has to have his soul, senses, and mind in a state of contentment, right? If we have toxic relationships in our life, then they're going to make us sick. And another great principle of Ayurveda is individuality, which means that every person is different and no person is exactly the same. And therefore, there is no one size fits all medicine. So there is no such a thing. And again, in Western medicine, they really like that. You know, they always like to do these like cross studies with 100 people, and they say, oh yeah, for 80% of people this worked, and for 20% it didn't work, and so it's really good. But Ayurveda, from an Ayurvedic point of view, doesn't make any sense to do anything like that, because every person's different. And Ayurveda is really about understanding who am I and what exactly is wrong with me and how to exactly balance that. So yeah, so even there's another proverb that everything in this world can be poison and everything in this world can be medicine. So that is also extremely important to understand. And another important principle of Ayurveda is living in rhythm, which means to understand the rhythm of the day, which we're really going to do today. This is what we're going to do today. This is what we're going to do today. And also later on means to align with the seasons, which we'll do maybe next month, and to align with our life stage. So what a teenager should eat is really different to what a person in their 40s should eat. Okay, great. The 7 pillars of well-being. Let's have a quick look at that as well. This description of the 7 pillars of well-being, it is what one of my teachers has shared with me, and I thought it was really nice. It's not just from the classics, but it's a really nice way of looking at our life. And if we would have a cup that we would fill every day, then ideally in our life, every day we should have all these 7. And again, those of you at consultations with me, they know that we always go through all these 7 pillars. And it's good to have a quick check. Where am I with these pillars? So we all need nourishment, which means nourishment gives, we all need the right food according to our constitution. That's the obvious one. We all need time for cleansing in our life. And somehow in our Western culture, we don't really have that incorporated so much like others do. Cleansing means creating space for renewal. We also need movement in our life every day. Ayurveda recommends the best is to wake up before the sunrise and then to move our body for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, for example, to do some sun salutations or to do some yoga or even to do some strength training or at least to go for a walk. So much pathology can be cured if you just rise on time and move a little bit. We all need to pillar of sleep, connection, inspiration, peace. I mean, they're all pretty obvious. So let's understand Ayurveda. Let's dive into it. So that was a bit of a long intro. And now we are ready to explore, but what is Ayurveda? So the rishis who perceived Ayurveda, they understood that this world can be perceived for two things. One of them is guna, one of them is the quality of nature, and the other one is an action. So anything we can see in this world has qualities, right? This microphone, it has certain qualities. My computer has kind of similar qualities. I should have brought an orange. I'm going to show you an orange has different qualities. And the rishis, in their meditation, they crystallize 20 key qualities that we can observe in nature. And of those 20 key qualities, we have 10 pairs of opposites. And if you cannot remember all 20, just remember these three. If you can remember these three qualities and see them in your life on a day-to-day basis, you could change your entire life. The first set of qualities is heavy and light. So we can see there's some people who are a little heavier in build. There are some people who are a little lighter in build, right? Now, there's also some foods which are heavier, which are denser. For example, we can have bread. Bread is quite heavy, right? It's quite heavy food. It's a bit heavier than, for example, a salad. Salad is more lighter food. So now, one basic principle of Ayurveda is that like increases like, and opposites balance each other. So for example, if a person who already has a heavy build eats a lot of heavy foods, then guess what? They're only going to become more heavy. Or if a person who's very light, we can see that a lot in the yoga culture, a lot of yogis, they're all really light, but then they only eat fruits and salad. It's only going to make them more light. And according to Ayurveda, it would be a little bit of a mismatch. Now, the same, another quality is hot and cold. We can see some people, they're naturally more hot. They have red hands. They have a red color in their face. Some people are naturally more colder. Their hands could be a little bit more blue. Or their extremities, their hands and feet tend to be a bit colder. The same with dry. Some people have very dry skin, while some people have really oily skin. So now if a person has really dry skin and they have bread every morning, toasted bread every morning for breakfast, what do you think will happen? Their skin will only get more dry, right? Or if a person who already has a colder constitution and it is winter, which is a cold season, and then they're having yogurt with fruits for breakfast, it's only going to make them more cold, right? So that is a very important factor to understand. And these 20 qualities, dense and liquid, soft and hard, stable and mobile, clear and cloudy, dull and sharp, smooth and rough, subtle and gross, they combine to the 5 elements. So we see every culture in the world has this understanding of 5 elements. Sometimes there are 4, they don't have space, but many cultures have 5 elements, right? And everyone has heard about them before. Well, now, how do we differentiate those 5 elements? It is because of these 20 gunas, which combine into the Panchamahabhuta, into the 5 elements of nature. And they're extremely important to know. Actually, just learning about the 5 elements has completely changed my life. And I want to invite you to also do this. Those are things we should have actually learned in kindergarten or primary school. So if you feel like, oh my God, this is so obvious, this is so simple, I thought I'm going to learn about Ayurveda. Just hold on. So We have the element of space. And the element of space, it is light, it is subtle, it is clear, it is soft, it is smooth, right? When that is just how space is, right? And then we have air, and a better translation of air actually would be wind. And we can see wind, it dries us out, right? If we go out in the wind, then our skin will crack and will become more dry. If we leave vegetables or bread in the air, they will dry out. Air is also light. If you have a jar full of air, like I have my water bottle and it's pretty empty, it's light. Air it's cold. Like if you are in a hot room and we're next to the AC, it just blows that air, it cools us. It also has this rough texture, the mobile texture. It is also very subtle, like we cannot see air. We have fire. Fire, obviously, it is hot, it is sharp, right? Fire, it has these little sharp things on top, right? It is sharp. And if you eat something like a chili has a lot of fire element in it, right? So how do we feel when we eat it? Oh, we feel sharp, right? And if you want to, these qualities in the elements, we have some people who are more sharp, right? So if you want to be more sharp, if you have an exam and you really want to study, you could make your food a little bit more pungent. And you put a chili in your meal, you'll be more sharp, right? And in the same way, like if you're feeling hot in summer, you take a cold ice cream, you will feel more cold. Fire is also pretty light, it is dry. It is subtle and clear, it's pretty obvious. We have water, which is cool, it is liquid, has some oily quality to it. Water is much heavier than air, for example, or fire. It is soft, it can be cloudy. Earth, obviously, is heavy, it is dense, it is hard, stable, it is gross, it is rough. And now these 5 elements, they comprise of everything that we can see in the tangible world. Anything that is physical is made out of these 5 elements. So for example, if we have a date is made out of these 5 elements and has all 5 of them, but it has particularly 2 elements in excess. Does anyone have a guess which are the 2 elements that are in the date?
Sweetness?
Yes. Sweetness? Okay. Yeah, great. Sweetness is great. And which element do you think is sweetness?
I don't know. Earth? I don't know.
Earth, for sure. A date has a lot of earth, isn't it? It has some water too, because it has that stickiness, right? That softness. If it's completely dry date, then there's not much water. Then, there's just this earth and the air has maybe taken over. But you see these dates, which are really nice, like medjool dates, they're a little bit dry, but they still have this gooiness, the sweetness, means there's some earth and water in that. And now imagine if you have a person, and let me ask another question. Do you guys know, have you heard of ghee before? Ghee, yeah, ghee is like clarified butter, and Ayurveda holds ghee really highly. What do you think, which element is ghee made from?
Water?
Water, yeah, sure. Water, yeah, and?
Earth?
Earth, yeah. Ghee has also water and earth. That is right. That is right. It also has water and earth. Great. So now imagine we have a person who has insomnia. Which element do you think is insomnia? Any takers?
Air?
Air. That's right. Insomnia is air. It is movement. It is dry, right? It is light. So imagine a person has insomnia and they really can't sleep and their mind is just driving them crazy. So if they would go to their fridge and they will have a date with some ghee and maybe some almond, maybe an almond as well, right? Which element do you think is an almond?
Earth?
Earth. Yeah, a lot of earth in that almond, right? So it's very grounding. So if a person cannot sleep at night and then they have this date, they have an almond with it, they have some ghee with it, oh, it will balance that air element in them. It will balance that dryness, that lightness, that coldness, that roughness, that too much mobility, that subtle energy. It will balance it and it will increase the quality of earth in them. It will increase the water element in them. It will soothe them. What do you think if they would have that date and an almond and then they would put a chili inside? Don't do that.
That's fire.
That's fire. They will get angry. They will get irritated, right? Imagine if you have a person who has a more fiery constitution, and we will look at that next, like a person who has a more fiery constitution, and it's summer, and they're working in the office, and there's no AC, and their boss just yelled at them because they're not doing their work, and then they go out, they go to a restaurant, they go to eat Mexican, and they have a burrito with jalapenos, and yeah, just with jalapenos. So what do you think? And then they go back in their car to drive back to the office after lunch, and the boss again gives it to them, and they're not drinking any water too. What do you think is going to happen to them? They will get a sharp pitta, like a sharp pitta headache, like a very sharp, fiery headache. So this might sound like kindergarten, but actually it's super crucial. It can change our whole world. Like rather than just checking like, oh, but how much protein does it have? How much carbs does it have? How much fats does it have? Like in the Western world, we just think of foods as like protein, carbs, and fats, and maybe your vitamins and minerals, which is really nice, no problem with that. But that's just one way of looking at the world. And there was a bunch of people who sat together, I don't know, maybe 40 years ago, and they had different opinions of what to write on the labels. Yeah, and by democratic vote, they decided they will label it with carbs, But sometimes it's a little bit, it can minimize, it can really reduce what else is there. We could also label the foods according to the elements, and that would make it actually a bit easier. And that is how an Ayurvedic practitioner thinks. Which element is in that food? Which element is in that activity as well, right? If a person, for example, is very heavy, they have a very heavy build, they have a lot of earth element in them and a lot of water element, you recommend them to exercise, right? Because exercise will aggravate the fire element, so it will help them to get rid of some of that heaviness, etc. Because you're bringing lightness into it. So they're super cool to learn a bit more about the elements, and that is really how we will plan our diet, by understanding what are the elements inside of us, what are the elements in my pantry, and how can I balance me at which point in time. And as a little history, personal example, I used to get brutal headaches nearly every day. A few years after I went to the doctor, it didn't help me. Well, actually around maybe a year later or around the time, can't remember. It's like 10 years ago. So I used to get these really brutal headaches, and they would kill me. And I was already worried, maybe I have a brain tumor or something like that. It was really severe. Like, yeah, I want to go on a tangent, but it was really severe. And I saw an Ayurvedic practitioner, and all she told me actually was to change my diet. Because I had so much hunger, I had so much fire. The fire, and I was not satisfying it, I was not eating on time. So the fire would just go into my head, it would just burn all my neurochemistry and make me very irritated and angry. And anyone who knew me 7 years ago or 8 years ago, they all know what I'm talking about. So very important, these simple things can make such a difference. Like, let's explore this a bit deeper. So now we have those 20 gunas of nature, and just remember those three. Yeah, just remember hot, heavy, and dry. Like heavy, light, hot, cold, dry, oily. Just remember those three. And think about the 5 elements, and they combine in our body to form what is called as the 3 doshas, the 3 constitutions. And the air and the space element, they combine to create the Vāta dosha in our body. And the fire and water element, so air and space, Vāta. What is Vāta? Everyone has Vāta in their body, and Vāta basically mainly refers to prana. So we have prana that we breathe through our nose, and then there's also different prana, different movements that helps the energy in our body to circulate. For example, there's prana that goes down, apana vayu that goes down, that helps our bowel movement, that helps the woman with her menstrual flow. There's prana also that goes up, that helps us to burp. There is prana that goes up, that makes us yawn. There is anywhere where there's movement, think of Vāta dosha. And every person has Vāta. Now, for some people, Vāta is a little bit more, and we'll explore that soon. Then there's Pitta. Pitta means the fire and water element. And anyone has an idea, where do we have fire and water in our body? Have you ever thought about
Stomach.
In our stomach, yes, in the form of hydrochloric acid. I hope I said that right. You know, I failed in chemistry as a child. I was a very bad student. But I've heard we have hydrochloric acid in our stomach, and a bunch of other chemicals. And basically it is acid. It is a juice, that digestive juice. It is like water. It has that slimy quality, but actually it is fire because it is hot, it is sharp, it is breaking things down, it is causing transformation. So we also have this fire element. Also in our body, we have electricity, right? We have all these neurons that are firing in our nervous system. And if our nervous system becomes too dry, if there's too much activity, then there's too much heat, there's too many electrons fired, and that water element becomes significantly diminished, and a person will have like this really fried, and we say, like in common language, we say fried, people got fried, or some Australians, they say, oh, you got cooked, or they have this sensitive nervous system, right? Any sound, they get immediately agitated. Anything they see, if it's too bright, it hurts them. We all know it. If people have burnout or stress, it is because that nervous system, it just got a bit too hot and there's a lack of oiliness. So one common remedial measure in Ayurveda would be to do nasya. We speak about that later in terms of remedies, but we have also the Pitta constitution, which is fire and water. And then we have Kapha. Kapha is water and earth. And the Kapha dosha, it gives our body its form, right? Like a lot of our muscles, our fatty tissue, our bones even, they are a result of the Kapha dosha. It's really that which gives structure. And every person has all three of them. However, they differ in their strength. So we can see some people have much more Vāta than they have Pitta and Kapha, and some people have much more Pitta, and some people have more Kapha. Some people are dual nature. They have Vāta and Pitta. Some people have Pitta and Kapha, or Kapha and Vāta, etc. And some people actually have a little bit of all of them, just on an equal base. It's balanced, called tridoshic. It's very rare though. And it's not that one is better than the other. Okay. So how do we know what is my constitution? How do I know if I'm a Vāta person? Am I like this air and spacey person? Or am I a Pitta person? Am I this fiery person? Or am I a Kapha individual, which has so much earth and definitely a lot of water? How do we know? So there's many different ways of accessing it, but I chose some of the easiest things that can never fail you. And there's a lot of psychology that comes with the doshas. There's a lot of, they will affect every realm of your life. But an easy way to see is through a bodily frame. Because our constitution, the balance between Vāta, Pitta, and Kapha in our bodies, it is very much determined at the time that we are born. And it is not going to change through our life, ever. What can change is an current imbalance. So a person who might have been a Vāta predominant person as a child might get a Kapha imbalance later in life and become more obese. But their core constitution will never change. And ideal health always means to come back to our core constitution. And there's a few things that will not change no matter what we do. And that's why I think they're the best markers for our original constitution. The first one is the general elongation of our body. So we can see some people, they have very elongated bodies, which means in comparison to their height, their body frame is quite thin. And also, not only is their whole body elongated, but we can see also the fingers will be very elongated. Then on the opposite side, we have the Kapha dosha, which is much wider in their build. And in the middle, we have Pitta, which is more moderate. And it doesn't matter how, what is your lifestyle, there's some part of this elongation that we cannot change. And a Vāta person might accumulate more weight later in their life, but for example, they will not be able to change their shoulder width. They will not be able to change their wrist width. They will not be able to change the elongation on their fingers. So those are some key factors to consider. So as a quick example, maybe I can pick some of you, or you can all ask yourself first. In terms of your body elongation, do you think that you are this person who's very tall and thin, or maybe small, but the body is just thin? Or are you this person who has a very wide body for their size? Or are you in the middle? You could ask yourself that question, give yourself a tick for either Vāta, Pitta, or Kapha. And then also for shoulder width, do you have more thin shoulders, or do you have shoulders of moderate length, or do you have very wide shoulders? Very wide shoulders means Kapha, moderate means Pitta, thin means Vāta. The same for your wrist size. Like here in comparison, we can see that my wrist in comparison to my hand, it is small to medium sized. And also if you look at my hands, I have a square here that's a bit more closer to Pitta, and my fingers, they're not really elongated actually, a little bit. So it's more moderate size, which is Pitta. So also in my constitution, I'm mixed, I'm Vāta and Pitta, I have a lot. Maybe you guys want to show your hands so we can teach this in real life. Okay, Maria, do you want to show me your hands closer to the camera? Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Can you see her hands? We can see that her fingers, and the light is not the best. It was really good at first, but when I looked at it at first, it seemed that your fingers, they're quite longer than your palm. Is that correct? And your palm is not completely square, it's a little bit more elongated and rectangular. Right? So if I would put you in again from this, I would definitely say that we have some Vāta here, some Vāta dosha, and maybe some Pitta. But we can say there's not so much into the range of Kapha. And yeah, that especially that left hand, it looks quite like Vāta. So we can put you for now into this category of Vāta Pitta. Maybe Holly, can you show us your hands? A little bit further away. Okay, great. Show us your wrist. Okay, great. Now Maria, show your wrist. Okay, can you see the difference? So Holly, she has a bit more, she's definitely Pitta wrist, maybe towards Kapha. We can put Holly more in this range between Pitta and Kapha. And we can see this clear difference to Maria's wrist. Can you see it? Everyone. So that is one way we can use this. Caleb, show us your hands. Okay. Yeah. That's also, we can see it's a very thin wrist in comparison to the rest of the hand. And it's slightly longer than rectangular, which gives more of that Vāta dosha.
So mine would be like Vāta Pitta.
Vāta Pitta. Yeah, it's still Vāta Pitta side. We don't have someone who's extremely Vāta in this class, at least no one that has a camera on. Hey, Eileen, good to see you. I just saw your camera now. Do you want to show us your hands? Okay. So with Eileen, how high are you, Eileen?
163.
163. So also in terms of height, Vata individuals, they're usually a bit taller or a bit smaller in size. But the individuals not so often will be at 160. Also, obviously, you're not Australian, so we have to adjust the size. But we can see again that Vata dosha come out in you. Yeah, Eva, you want to show us your hands? Welcome, Eva. Okay, cool. Love that. That also looks more like a Kapha size hand. Also round face often gives more of a Kapha constitution. Again, some a Pitta Kapha. We can put that in. Does everyone understand that? And obviously it takes we have to look maybe at 20 people or 30 people. I have some examples and then it will really click. But that is a really easy way to see your constitution. What is the elongation of my limbs? What are my hands? How big is my wrist? How wide are my shoulders? And then you can ask yourself, well, do I have excessive dry, light, cold, or mobile or subtle quality? That is an indication of Vata dosha. If my hands are always dry, I have Vata dosha, I have a Vata imbalance. And if my body frame tends to be more light, if I tend to feel more cold in my extremities, that's a sign of Vata dosha. If a person speaks really fast, and if they're just jumping from one topic to the next, I'm teaching you about Ayurveda, then I start speaking about my holiday to India last month, then I start teaching you about the cows that we were feeding, and then I tell you about the monsoon, and then suddenly I come back to Ayurveda. That's Vata dosha. You have these friends, and it's very beautiful, right? The Vata dosha is really beautiful. They're great visionaries. They're very idealistic. They're very creative. They like the air element. They can just fly, and also they're the most often they're a little bit more spiritual than the rest of the world because they have this connection to the space element, which just connects everyone. And that's often in the yoga class you can see a lot of people have Vata dosha in the yoga class. Because they're the visionaries of the world. They can just like leave the ground and go travel in space. And then we have with the Pitta dosha, people will not only have a bit more moderate body frame, but also they will have more heat in their body. They will be like these go-getters and achievers, and I want to get this done. They can have very sharp tongues, and yeah, they also can tend to have a bit lighter frame because their fire is so strong. Whatever they eat, it just gets burned up, and skin sometimes can be slightly oily. And the Kapha individual, and Pitta people are very good in getting things done. Vata people, they're great in having ideas, but the Pitta people, they're good in getting things done. Now Kapha individuals, they're a bit more heavy, and their bodies, even though they're heavier built, can be a bit more cold. Often their bodies can be very oily, and even their skin can have like a lot of glow because of that oiliness. Kapha people, they're really good to keep something going for a long time. They give endurance. So even in our friend circle or in our work, in our team, a good group has a Vata, a Pitta, and a Kapha person. Because the Vata person will have the idea, the Pitta person will get them done, and the Kapha person will make sure that everyone remains happy all the way through and no one gets burned out or, that no one gets screwed over. If you just have a group of Vata people, they will just do some armchair philosophy. Oh, we could do it like this. That would be nice. Oh, that is such a great idea. If you have a bunch of Pitta people in the team, they're like, I will do it. No, I will do it. I will do it faster than you. And, they might get a job done, but they might start an argument with each other. And if you have a group of Kapha people, then they might have a hard time to get going because they're just very slow and comfortable. And so it's not that one dosha is better than the other. We all need them, and they have their own psychology, they have their own physiology, etc. And it is so cool, right? If you understand that just from really looking at a person and understanding their body frame or understanding their features. For example, Kapha people, they will have more round faces. Pitta people, they have a more triangular face. They can have really sharp collarbones. Vata people will tend to have a more thinner face because the body is more elongated. So just by understanding a person's body or their face, you will know so much about their psychology. Isn't that amazing? Like if you ever think about it, once you learn Ayurveda, you just go through town, it's like, oh, he's Vata, he's Pitta, oh, like that. And you can also understand that your friends, if you have a friend who's just feeling a bit ungrounded or having a lot of emotions or anxiety, and it's just a Vata dosha getting the best out of them, right? Or if a person's just getting really angry, then Pitta is just showing the worst of them. Or if a person's getting a little bit too lethargic and just doesn't want to move, then that Kapha dosha. So it's really cool to think about it in this way. I have a little slide here just to make that a bit more clear. So I collected some celebrities and I put them in to understand Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And actually, I don't know the name of all of them, so you have to help me a little bit. So I've been a bit out of touch with movies and all of that. But I know this guy, he's Jim Carrey, right? Everyone knows Jim Carrey? Yeah, what was that movie with the mask? The pet doctor, or I can't remember.
Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber? Oh, yes. Can you say it again?
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber. No, I mean, his name was Ace Ventura, right?
Yeah, that's the name of the movie.
Yeah. That was great. So everyone, one homework from Ayurveda class today, please all watch that movie. Okay, I'm just joking. So it was a good movie though. But Jim Carrey, he has a lot of Vata dosha, right? We can see he has a more slender, lean build. Vata people, they're often tall or very short. Sometimes they can have a bit more irregular proportions as well. Usually they have dry skin and hair. There's some roughness about them, or cracking, or veins can be visible, or joints can be visible. There's a restlessness and a lot of movement about them. Sometimes they can have smaller eyes, very active eyes. Sometimes they can have irregular teeth. Their voice can be very fast, cold hands and feet often feel chilly. That is the classic physiognomy of a Vata individual. And it comes with psychology. What's the psychology? And we have a positive here and we'll have a negative. The positive is they are creative, right? They're imaginative, innovative. And why they're creative, why they're imaginative? Because of that space element, right? That space element connects everything. It is so subtle, right? Like in our mind, we can travel immediately to the moon, right? That space element, it is so fine, it is so subtle, so amazing. So Vata individuals, you just gifted with that connection. And therefore also they have new ideas, they're very flexible in body and in mind. They spontaneous, curious, enthusiastic, etc. They're great communicators. So they're great friends to have. They really juice up life, those Vata friends. And if Vata is out of balance, then let's write that a bit better, plus and minus. If Vata goes out of balance, then a person will become anxious. They will become restless. They will start to overthink. There's fearfulness, insecurity, indecisiveness, scattered attention, etc., etc. And I'm not saying that only a Vata person can have these symptoms, but anyone whose Vata dosha becomes out of balance will have the symptoms. And if we have more Vata in our constitution, then it is just more likely that also this Vata will go out of balance. But even a person who's completely Kapha, he can have a Vata imbalance. Who's that lady? Anyone knows?
Keira
Keira
Knightley.
Knightley.
Okay, cool, great. Any movies anyone can recommend?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, that's her. Really?
Yeah.
She was Elizabeth?
I don't know, but she's.
I don't think she's Vata dosha then. I just saw that one picture of her and she looked a bit more thin. So Elizabeth, she looked pretty, like she had a bit more like full body, but I bet Elizabeth's definitely Pitta dosha or Pitta Kapha dosha. So okay, excuse me on that one. Excuse me on that one. So let's just.
No, actually, I would say she is quite Vata.
Yeah.
She is quite thin.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh,
very
okay.
thin,
I just
and
remember that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where she was having those like
That was painted on.
Oh, okay.
Special
Okay.
effects.
Okay, cool. Cool. There we go. Because I was just going by pictures. So because I'm a bit out of scene, like yeah. But I know this guy. This guy is the Jack Sparrow, right?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, there you go. So he definitely has Vata dosha, right? We can see also in the picture, even you can see his cheekbones are coming out. That's a clear sign of Vata dosha. I don't know this lady. Anyone knows her? No? Okay. But you can see the Vata dosha, right?
Yeah.
Great. So now let's have a look at Pitta. Pitta is the fire and water element. Therefore, it's hot, it is sharp, it is light, slightly oily, spreading. So they have a more medium build. They're athletic and muscular. Their skin tends to be more warm, often have reddish faces, or they have this a bit more yellowish skin as well. They are more prone to skin irritations, to Agni, etc., to acid reflux. Those are very common problems for Pitta people. They often have very sharp eyes, right? Like for Vata people, it's like moving very quickly, but Pitta, it's like they look in your eyes and they shoot you with their eyes. They can burn you. They have more fine hair and they can also gray early. And men who have a lot of Pitta, they can grow bald early because they have so much fire. Fire always goes up. So the fire it goes up in their skull and it just burns up the roots of all their hair. So, but yeah, Pitta men, they can tend to bald and tend to gray early. They have a very strong appetite. They can feel more hot or sweaty. And their voice also is very commanding and clear and sharp, right? So the plus points, intelligent, sharp, because fire not only helps us to digest food, fire also helps us to digest emotions. That helps us to digest knowledge. And therefore, Pitta people, they can be a little bit more sharp. They're disciplined, they're determined. They are natural leaders. They're focused on ambition. They're very passionate, very perceptive, excellent planners. Why are they perceptive? What do you think? Why are Pitta people more perceptive?
Because their minds are sharp. So they're
I like it. I like it because you need fire to see, right? You can't see without fire. So that's what I love about Ayurveda. It's so universal, right? You learn Ayurveda and you understand how the whole world works. And that's the cool thing about studying any of the Vedic sciences. If you study astrology, if you study Ayurveda, if you study architecture, whatever it is, suddenly you understand the whole picture. But the problem with Pitta people, they tend to be a bit more irritated. They can become cynical. They become judgmental. They can become too critical of themselves or of others. They can be impatient. They're very intense people. Can be overly perfectionistic, prone to burnout, etc. So that guy is the guy from Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise. I know that's he's definitely Pitta, and also Pitta Kapha, we can say for sure. That's Angelina Jolie. She also has, she's more Pitta Vāta. We can see she has a very elongated body, but then at the same time, she's not super thin. So we can see the Pitta dosha come out. She's also, we know she's quite sharp and critical, very passionate, like so great. Pitta has so many nice qualities, like every dosha. Who's that guy?
Christian Bale,
Christian Bale. What's the movie you can recommend?
Batman.
Oh, he's the guy from Batman. Great.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that. Who's that lady?
Scarlett Johansson.
Okay, great. Can you recommend a movie?
No, Marvel.
Okay. Is that Superwoman?
No, that's not Superwoman.
Okay. And is Catwoman?
Black Widow, I think.
Okay. I'm out of touch, you know. But we can see, like, also see this jawline here. That's full on Pitta, right? That's like, if people have this strong jawline. I think Angelina Jolie also has it a bit, but this lady, she really has it, and you can even see that glance. It is so sharp and penetrating. That is Pitta, and she also has healthy Kapha. In general, all the Hollywood actors or actresses who really adored for their body, they often have a lot of Kapha because Kapha is really that which gives you fullness, as a common line. So okay, I know this guy. He's what was that movie? That's Denzel Washington, and it's a really nice movie. I forgot, but obviously Kapha, Oprah Winfrey, she has a lot of Kapha. Tom Hanks. I don't know who's that one, but Kapha qualities. They're more solid. They're broad, stocky build. They can gain weight much more easily. Their skin is a bit thicker. They're more oily. They often have really full lips, round bodies, deep voice. They have this natural glow. You can have curly hair, right? Pitta also, at Pitta dosha, it starts to curl, but then Kapha can also have curlier hair. Okay, great. And the good qualities of Kapha is they're usually very happy people. They're calm, they're steady, they're grounded, they're very reliable, very nurturing, they're very forgiving. Forgiving, it's like half a dosha. They're really consistent. Now, if Kapha dosha gets out of balance, then a person will become lazy, a person will become depressed. So for example, depression, when a person feels that heaviness and they can't move, that is Kapha. If a person has anxiety and they're just overwhelmed, that is Vāta, right? If a person is just angry and bitter, that is Pitta. So possessiveness, difficulty to let go, resistance to change, overdependence, emotion heaviness, that is all Kapha dosha. Does that make sense? Is everyone following me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is this
Yep.
too simple?
Yeah.
No, it's cool. Great. I love that. So technically there's 7 permutations this could take. And we just learned about Pitta. We just learned about Pitta, Vāta, or Kapha. And that is if a person just has a lot of Vāta, and Pitta and Kapha both very secondary, then we call them a Vāta individual. If Pitta is very strong, and Vāta and Kapha is small, we call them a Pitta individual. If Vāta is very strong and Pitta and Kapha are secondary, they're Vāta. And if Kapha is very strong and Pitta and Vāta are secondary, we call them Kapha. So there are some permutations. For example, a person could have nearly equal balance of Kapha and Pitta, but just very minimal Vāta. So then they become Pitta Kapha. The same for a lot of Pitta and a lot of Vata, they would be a Pitta Vata person. Or if you have a person that has a lot of Kapha and Vata, they're Kapha Vata person. And again, how do we know? How do we really know? I mean, the easiest way to find out is to go to an Ayurvedic practitioner who will take your pulse. But some other ways to check is to see where we fall within this constitution. And even more important is to really see where do we fall amongst these qualities. So for example, if a person is very light, they tend to be very dry. They are very flexible, but at the same time, they're really hot and they're very sharp and they have this voracious appetite. Then we know they're Vata Pitta, right? And if this person is very dry, they're very dry, but at the same time, they're very heavy and very cold. So they have this big build, actually. They have this Kapha build, but they don't have that oily skin, but they have a dry skin. Then we know, oh, they're actually Vata Kapha, or at least they have a Vata imbalance at the moment. So in that way also, a person could have two doshas that are prominent in them, or they could have Pitta and Kapha, right? They could be very big build, but feel hot, right? And have that sharpness of Pitta and those corners. Or a person could have a mix of all the three, which is called tridoshic, which is really rare. And there's nothing better about being tridoshic. It just means that any dosha can go out of balance at any time. And for your to help you like a little bit in terms of that Sanskrit etymology, dosha actually means fault or flaw. Dosha actually means flaw, but the doshas don't refer to flaws. Doshas, they're protective mechanisms in our body that are necessary. And in one sense, whenever a dosha goes back, whenever a dosha goes out of balance, whenever we can spot that so-called flaw, it is great because it helps us to protect our body and to protect ourselves. So, yeah, great. Let's skip that one. So, a very important part in Ayurveda is to understand our constitution first. And I hope some of you have some idea where you stand in your constitution. Otherwise, you can always write me and I can immediately tell you. Or you can just take a quiz on our school community if you really want to get more clear about it. But then after understanding what is our constitution, it's very important to understand what are imbalances that we are facing in our life. So some of the most common imbalances that people experience, if a person has constipation, then constipation is always a Vata imbalance. Why is constipation a Vata imbalance? Anyone has an idea?
Bowel movement.
Bowel movement, yeah, sure, yeah, Apanavayu, right? The downward facing air, it is not a downward moving air, it is not really moving downwards what it should move. Also, Vata is really dry, it's very dry. So if there's too much Vata dosha, then your GI tract just all dried up and just nothing can move. So then what do you do? Well, how do you balance Vata, right? How do you balance that dryness if we go back to our 20 qualities? Here, how do we balance dry? I told you, only remember 3 qualities. Yeah, so if you balance dry with oily. So if a person has a lot of constipation, then we will advise them to take more oil. Like the whole GI tract is dried out, so they can add like 2 tablespoons of ghee with them here. They can put some olive oil into their water bottle. I'm not even joking. It will actually be good for them because they're just dry and it's not healthy. It's out of balance. And then later they can get all kind of disease, like that constipation is just the beginning, right? Next they will have leaky gut, then they will autoimmune, then they like. What next? Then have arthritis or whatever. But first, it will really start by that dry quality being out of balance. So how cool is that? And now you know. So, yeah. Now, if a person has gas, that's obviously Vata because it's air, right? If a person has insomnia, we have that light quality. They're too light. They're not heavy enough to sleep. Anxiety, there's this excess mobility, joint stiffness, arthritis, dry skin, most cancers, they're all Vata disorders, right? So if any person has cancer, then they should eat a Vata pacifying diet, etc. Because it just, what does it do? It just takes away what if you have cancer, it just degenerates your whole system, and people, they lose so much weight, they have so many problems. And obviously, don't do any, if you have cancer, you just don't do any major medical decisions without consulting your doctor. And if you see an Ayurvedic practitioner, he will work together with your doctor. So putting that disclaimer here. But they're all Vāta disorders, acid reflux, right? That too much hydrochloric acid, too much acid, like too much fire. Gastritis, very common Pitta disorder. Skin rashes, right? The skin in a rash, it turns red. So what does red color tell us? Oh, there's fire, right? Otherwise it would not be red. There's heat, high blood pressure as well, migraines. There's different types of headaches. Actually, I should have put in there, but those really sharp needle pain headaches that anyone have, like really sharp needle pain headaches. I can write a book about it, but not anymore. Not anymore. And that's too much Pitta. Anger, autoimmune disease, all autoimmune disease. That's a bit more advanced, but that's Tejas. It's a more refined form of Pitta, and basically it's eating up the immune system, right? There's constant inflammation, that there's so much heat, there's so much fire, it's just burning up the entire body. And many people who have autoimmune disorders, they all have a common psychopathology that a lot of them, they give up on humanity. A lot of them carry a lot of anger with them. They carry a lot of resentment. That's a better word. They carry a lot of resentment. So there's always that psychopathology, we could say. Obviously, Kapha obesity is a Kapha disorder. Asthma, means too much mucus. Hay fever is all a problem with Kapha. Also depression, not anxiety. It's important to differentiate, like that heaviness. I don't want to move. I don't want to get out. That is a Kapha disorder. Also swelling, water retention in the body. That is all Kapha disorders. Okay, now how do we balance the dosha, right? What do we do? So maybe we know our constitution. Maybe we have some idea. I'm a bit more Kapha. I'm a bit more Pitta. I'm a bit more Vāta. Maybe we can see I have some imbalance. Maybe I tend to have anxiety, or maybe I tend to gain weight too easily, or I have skin rashes or whatever. So we can see what is that problem, what is that imbalance. So then there's this most amazing Ayurvedic formula, and that says like increases like. So like increases like means I gave all these examples already, right? If you have ice cream in winter, let's say you have ice cream in winter, and you're Vāta person, you're already cold individual, you're outside in winter, you're not wearing a jacket, and then you're going to eat an ice cream. What's going to happen? So you are cold, it is cold, and you eat something cold. What's going to happen? You get a cold, right? Like increases like. And opposites balance. Opposite balance means if it is cold outside and you have this Vāta constitution anyways, then obviously if you Vāta, winter is the worst months because it is a Vāta months, it's a cold months. So if you are Vāta constitution, you're out in the cold and you're feeling quite shivery and you didn't really prepare yourself in terms of your clothing, and then you come home, then what do? You go home and you have a hot tea with ginger, black pepper, and honey. And you have a hot shower as well. So ginger, pepper, honey, they're all very heating, right? They have this fire element. So now if you're this dry Vāta person, cold Vāta person, then opposite balance, that tea will help you not to get sick. So now I have a question for all of you. Considering that like increases like and opposite balances, if a person is outside in the cold in winter and they are cold themselves, they have a cold body and it's very cold outside, and suddenly, and it's cold and dry, right? It's very cold and dry, and suddenly their nose becomes runny. Where the heck did the water come from and why? Any takers?
Isn't it because the body is trying to balance?
Exactly. So the doshas, they're not really flaws. Like that's one translation, but it's not really a flaw. The doshas, they're your protective mechanism because it is cold outside and you are cold. So now your body itself tries to balance you. He tries to bring in that opposite quality. He tries to bring in that gooey and watery and wet quality in your nose to protect your body. And that is so great. The problem is only if you don't take care of that runny nose. If you don't make sure that the Kapha dosha goes out, there was too much Vāta, so your body tried to bring in some Kapha to balance it. And now the Kapha is in your nose. But if you don't get the Kapha out of your nose, then you're going to get a Kapha disease. You're going to get a cold, right? A cold, you feel heavy. There's some Kapha. And then how do you get that Kapha out? Well, with some fire, some Pitta. And that's why you have your hot tea or you have your hot shower. And if you don't do that, then you get a cold and you have fever, and then your body tries to do it himself. So isn't that amazing to see how the whole universe is just operating? How is it working? It's like, wow. Every time I'm just blown away. So now some quick guidelines here. So we could really balance the Vāta dosha. We could balance it through food, through lifestyle, through movement, also through a certain state of mind, and also through the environment. So, for example, if a person, so for Vata individuals, if you have a strong Vata dosha, or if you have a Vata disease, then it is very important to have warm foods and cooked foods, right? If you Vata Prakriti, Vata constitution, a salad, eating a lot of salad, you might like salads because you're light and it's also light food and you feel so light, but Vata people are already light enough, right? They don't need that much salad. They don't have to run a marathon, right? Because a marathon is going to make you even lighter. So warm cooked meals, super important for them. Soups and stews are really important. Porridge, so nice and grounding. We really want Vata individuals, especially if they live in a Vata dry and cold climate, such as, for example, Australia. We live in Melbourne. I live in Melbourne. It's really windy. It's really cold. I don't know what you guys are thinking of Australia for those who are joining from other parts of the world, but it's not always what you think it is. at least what I thought when I came here. Okay, so if you live in a cold and dry climate, if you're a cold person, you need so much oils, right? A lot. And some people really put down fats in our modern culture, but fats are so good for you, especially if they're good fats. Good fats are good for you. Like, just look at a baby. If you look at babies, they're just basically pure fat. Like, just every angle you look at is just pure fat. And our body needs a lot of healthy fats. And obviously everything in moderation. I'm not telling you that you take 1 cup of ghee or 1 cup of olive oil into your meal. But most of my clients that I see, I would say maybe 80%, they're actually not eating enough good fats. And good fats usually would mean ghee, olive oil, or coconut oil. They are the best sources of fats. And if you have time, I would really invest into either one of them, because you can save yourself so much money on other supplements in the future if you would invest into a good quality olive oil, into good quality coconut oil, or a good quality ghee. Sesame oil is the best oil for massage. So we might speak about that. Now also, we don't have enough time to really dig so deep into the seminar, but the 6 tastes, they are also connected to the elements. So for example, the sweet, the sour, and the salty taste is very balancing for the Vata dosha, because it brings in those qualities that Vata lacks, right? And we can see the sweet taste. We have our grains, right, such as rice or wheat. There's a sweetness to them, right? Your carbohydrates, there's a general sweetness to them. You also have your root vegetables like pumpkin, sweet potato, even your beetroots, etc. They all have the sweet flavor. And we can see whenever we have Vata imbalances, we naturally crave sweets, right? For example, I hope this never happened to you, but has ever anyone broken your heart? No one? Okay, great. I'm the only one. So, but if someone breaks your heart, right, then what is the first thing that we want? We want a big piece of cake, like a big piece of cake and a really nice hot chocolate, or something like that, right? Because the sweet taste has a lot of earth element. So it's very grounding, it's very soothing. And therefore, for Vata individuals as well, that sweet taste is super important, particularly root vegetables. Sweet taste does not mean refined sugars. By the way, I should clarify. Refined sugars are not part of Ayurveda. They did not exist back then. In our modern world, everything that is too refined, according to Ayurveda, is not recommended. So also too much, yeah. And again, sweet in the beginning, some sweet after we had our heartbreak, that first piece of cake, oh, it is so soothing. But then if we eat the whole cake, then we get a kapha disorder, which means that too much kapha, too much attachment, right? We can't, we're just holding on to what we would let go. So for Vata individuals, really favor sweet, sour, salty taste. We avoid raw, dry, cold, and overly processed foods. And Vata individuals, they should maintain, it's really important to have a fixed routine. Any ideas why Vata people in particular should have a really fixed routine? Any guesses? I can only hear birds singing.
Keep them grounded.
Keep them grounded. Yeah, because they're too mobile, right? They're so mobile. Vata, air, they're just moving everywhere. So we want to fix them. So also any person who has insomnia or anxiety, it really helps to have good routines. If you wake up every morning at the same time, you wake up before sunrise, it will set your circadian rhythm into time. It will be a bit easier to sleep at night, right? Particularly if you eat then foods which are also supportive for Vata dosha, that will help so much. Vata individuals, they need the most sleep, so that's why I said rest well. They might not want to, but they actually need the most. Because even when they're sleeping, their minds are just so active. So therefore, they need a bit more. Keeping warm, oil massages is so good for any Vata individual. Any person also experiences too much anxiety or too much thinking. Like oil massage, particularly black sesame oil, is one key remedy of Ayurveda. Black sesame oil is the best oil to use, and basically at night, ideally, or in the morning also is fine. A person can massage themselves, usually we massage in the direction to our heart. Sesame oil is very heating, so it is great for Vata dosha, and then also showing oneself this love, which is also so important. Reducing overstimulation and excess travel. Like every time when we travel, it aggravates our Vata dosha. Pretty clear. Movement. Like Vata people in a yoga class, they can just like do the Surya Namaskar, they go so fast, like, but they should not do exercise like that. They can do gentle exercises and more like slow is really important for them. Walking in nature, also their bodies are a little less strong than Pitta and Kapha in comparison. They're more flexible, but often can be less strong. So therefore they should avoid over exercising or too much irregularity in that scheme. Calming breath works like Nadi Shodhana or Anulam Vilom. I have a reference link in my school later for anyone who has never done Anulam Vilom. Great for Vata dosha, but obviously for all, but particularly for them. Soothing music, journaling, meditation, self-reflection, pretty clear. Warm environments, stable, quiet settings. It's pretty clear, right? So if you are Vata constitution, or if you know some about the constitution, you have a few life tips that can really make a difference. And later you will get a sheet, like a 10-page sheet with every dosha and all the permutations and what you can do. So you can take notes, but you can also just look at that. If you're a Pitta person, then it is better to have cooling foods, right? Hydrating foods like cucumber, melons, leafy greens. Sweet taste also is great for Pitta. And my teacher always would say, bitter is better for Pitta. So bitter taste becomes really important for Pitta people. Anyone has an idea about which food is bitter taste?
Bitter God.
Sure, that is true. Any other more common examples? I had bitter gourd today, by the way. I love it. It's so good. True story. Any other bitter foods?
I think skin of vegetables or fruits tend to be a bit bitter as well, isn't it?
Like lemon skin?
Or seeds.
Seeds? Sure,
I don't
sure.
know.
So all Pitta individuals, now I want you all to scrape the lemon skin into all your meals, okay? Just joking. Bitter taste actually means particularly leafy greens, right? Even spinach or like rocket is an obvious one. Spinach actually is the only exception. Spinach actually doesn't balance bitter, but all other greens do. So you have your silver beet, you have your rainbow chard, you have your asparagus, your broccoli, your even your green beans, you have your what else? Anything that is green usually balances bitter. And also they have the slightly bitter taste. And obviously cooked, Ayurveda always favors cooked. Anyone has heard of astringent before? Yeah, great. What are some example food for astringent foods? So if you guys can think of an unripe banana, and if you eat an unripe banana and you eat it and it just completely dries up your mouth, that is the astringent taste. So astringentness, it just dries up, it binds water. So if a person, for example, has very loose digestion, then we will recommend a lot more of the astringent taste. One great remedy would be pomegranate juice. Like pomegranate, it has that little astringentness to it, right? You drink one glass of pomegranate juice, pure pomegranate, and dries up your mouth a little bit. So it's really great for Pitta. Also quinoa as well, it just how it sucks in all the water. It's astringent taste in a more palatable quantity. And then herbs like coriander, obviously they're green, fennel, mint, they're all cooling. And we don't want too many hot spices for Pitta people. They might like it, they might like their chili, but they should keep it down to some extent. And obviously all fried foods, alcohol, caffeine, they all aggravate Pitta dosha. In terms of their lifestyle, they really have to avoid overworking and overheating, otherwise they can get a headache. Makes sense. It's important for them to take breaks, to spend time in nature, super important, especially spending time near water, just so balancing to Pitta people. And also to have play, laughter, and relaxation, because Pitta people are often very competitive. So to just turn that competitiveness into play, into jokes, into laughter, very important. For them, we want also gentle yoga practice. It's not super competitive. You know, the Pitta people in the yoga class, if you ever go, you can see it. The Vāta people, they do everything super fast and just flying, and they can do every asana perfect because their body's so flexible. And then the Pitta people, they have a little bit more muscles, and they want to do the asana, and they really try to do competitively. How long can I hold this? Look how low I can go. And even modern day yoga classes also, that a whole society has a Pitta dosha. Like our whole society has a complete Pitta dosha. And that's why many individuals, they don't have Pitta in their nature, but by the time they go through teenage, they all have a Pitta dosha because society is very competitive and there's so much of that. So even in the yoga class, sometimes we say, how long can you hold it? 1, 2, 3, 16, 18. That's also a little bit that overly Pitta dosha. Okay. Yeah, swimming, by the way, is the best exercise for any Pitta individual. In terms of their mind, it's really good to practice compassion and kindness meditation, cooling breaths, doing something like gratitude journaling, and to have non-competitive hobbies really helps. And environment, they're better in cool places and calm places. They should avoid too much sun and heat, favor water, soothing colors, pretty clear. And let's have a look at Kapha dosha last. So for Kapha people, we really want to have more light food. We want warm meals. We want a lot of spice for Kapha individuals, because Kapha individuals, they can also have less hunger. Vāta individuals, the hunger can be very irregular. The whole life can be very irregular. For Pitta people, they have a lot of hunger, and if they don't eat on time, they can burn someone. Now for Kapha individuals, they're often a bit more slow with their digestion. So it's really important to have nice spices in the meal. All spices, from cumin to your green chili, all have a little bit of pungency. They have that fire element. So for Kapha individuals as well, that's very important to have good, nicely spiced meal, and even maybe some black pepper, some ginger. If any person has slow digestion, they can wake up in the morning, they can put some lemon juice into a glass, they can put some pepper in it, and some ginger, right? All these pungent spices, it will help their digestion. Any healthy adult who had dinner on time, which usually means before sunset, should wake up, should get hungry 2 or 3 hours after their breakfast. So if a person doesn't get hungry, especially if a person's used to skipping breakfast because they don't have hunger, it is an immediate sign that there's an imbalance. There's too much kapha in their digestion. And then we would recommend a drink with lemon, with ginger, with pepper, all these heating spices. For them, we favor pungent, bitter, and astringent. We don't want too much sweet, right? But the sweet taste, it is that earth element, has a lot of earth element and water element. And Kapha, they're already earth and water, right? They don't need so much sweet. They don't need so much, so many grains. They don't need so much wheat. They need a bit more of that vegetable variety. Otherwise, they can easily gain more mass. And their lifestyle, it's very important for Kapha individuals to rise early. Why? We're going to discuss in a moment. So if I forget it, please ask me. Yeah, I'm waiting for that attentive student who will point me out if I don't have that point. It's very important for Kapha individuals to avoid daytime naps because they are already heavy, they're already a little bit slower, so they can tend to be a little bit more slow. So if they take a nap in the day, during the day, then it's just going to further aggravate their constitution. It's very important for Kapha individuals to have variety and to have stimulation. So Kapha individuals, is good to have maybe a Vāta friend or to have a lot of variety, some creative hobbies. It really, really helps. Okay, and in terms of their movement, so for Kapha individuals, it's very good to have, they can work out the hardest of all the doshas. Vāta dosha, the Vāta prakriti, if they work out, they can easily hurt themselves if they go too much strength training, too much of anything. Pitta people, they can also completely overdo it. They might become the first person in the match or in a battle or in the gym. They're like really rocking it, but they can often push way beyond their boundaries and then hurt themselves later. But Kapha individuals actually have the greatest capacity. It's more about getting going and getting that consistency. Jogging is probably the best sport for Kapha individuals. I mean, dancing actually is the best, and then jogging because dancing is more fun. But these endurance exercises are really, really good for Kapha individuals. For Vāta individuals, who are really flexible, strength training is the best, but we don't want to overdo it. And for Pitta individuals, flexibility training is often what can really help balance them. In terms of the mind, like we want really uplifting breath work, like Kapalabhati and Bhastrika, they're great. We never finish with like a fired up, with a very invigorating breath work. We never finish with invigorating breath work. We would always do something soothing afterwards, like Anulam Vilam. But to have something like that in their life is great. And in terms of the environment, yeah, warm, dry places, avoiding too much damp, cold, and heavy atmosphere. Many Kapha individuals struggle with spring because spring is that Kapha season, right? There's that moisture in the air, and that's when many Kapha individuals can suddenly get hay fever or sinus congestions or all these problems. Okay, so here's a little sheet putting it all together, but we covered that for each dosha. Now, the last point I wanted to share with you, and I have my eyes on time, so in kind of 10, 15, 20 minutes, we can take questions. The doshas, Vāta, Pitta, and Kapha, they are not only in our body, but they're also in time. Some of my astrology students are here, and they all know that time is not just quantity. Time is not just something you can measure with your clock, but time also has quality. And we can see that the morning, it starts with Vāta, right? We have Vāta in the beginning, we have Vāta in the beginning. Then we have Pitta in the middle, and then we have Kapha at the end. So we can see in the morning, just when the sun rises, or just before sunrise, there's this Vāta dosha. There's a bit more movement. There's people are maybe traveling to work, or the animals, they're waking up. There is that beginning, that new beginning, that initiation of something new. There's that movement. Then in the middle of the day, there's Pitta. There is a lot of activity, like between 10 and 2 p.m. If you ever go in the city, then there's that hustle and bustle. There is things are getting done, right? Things are being accomplished. And then at the end of the day, we have the Kapha dosha when things slow down a bit more. Now, this is really important to note, which if you go a little deeper, that time from 2 to 6 o'clock, the Vāta dosha, it has a lot of air and space element. And that is why if a person wakes up before sunrise, it is such a beautiful time to meditate. It is such a beautiful time to move a little bit or to perform spiritual practices. Because the space element, it is so vast, it is so expansive, it is so subtle, right? It is that which connects everybody. And therefore, if a person wakes up early, like, we can all have these amazing experiences in meditation. And I can highly recommend for anyone who listens to this to try this out every morning. Wake up before the sun, maybe wake up an hour before the sun. And if you can, reduce artificial lights. So if you can, try to dim down all these super bright lights. Don't look at your phone, don't look at your screen. And don't turn on any light if you can. Turn on a candle or just keep a small light on the side and open your curtains. And there's this really beautiful light before the sun rises. It is blue, ultraviolet. Has anyone ever seen this light? Yeah, it is just so wonderful. And my teacher, he was also a very spiritual person, and he said, like, this color, this blue violet color, it's like the color of Krishna. It's the color of Shiva, of Vishnu, like all these cool deities from India, right? All these great teachers and great personalities. It's the same color. So there's this spiritual feeling naturally there in the atmosphere every morning. And if a person sits down to do the yoga practice, to do their meditation, like, it is just so wonderful. And we all need, I spoke about the 7 pillars, right? From nutrition to peace. This is really when we can have so much peace in our life. And it's one ritual that I have every day, to wake up before sunrise, to meditate in the morning, and also to bind down again at night. And oh my God, it changed my whole life. I would really like to. I can't underline it enough how amazing this experience could be for you and how life-changing it is. And if you don't believe me, I can connect you to 10 of my clients who will all tell you how amazing this is. So if anyone can, it's a beautiful time to wake up, beautiful time to meditate, beautiful time for spiritual practices. And it will also help to balance your circadian rhythms. If you see the sunrise, it will help you to get tired at night, etc., etc. And it really means also that you're respecting the Vāta dosha, right? Vāta means movement. That means you have to move out of bed. You have to get out of bed to respect the Vāta dosha in the morning. And again, Kapha individuals, they can rise the earliest, Pitta individuals a little later, and then Vāta individuals, they usually need the most sleep, so they rise the latest, but still before the sunrise. According to Ayurveda, oh my God, if you can do one thing, just rise before the sunrise. So morning time is a great time for intuition. It's a great time for your bowel movement, to eliminate that movement, to get it all out. It's a great time for breathing, for meditation, for preparing the mind, etc. After the sun rises, we have Kapha dosha. And Kapha means earth and water. So if you look, after the sun rises, there's that dew on the grass. And at 2 a.m., the dew might not have been there. At 3 a.m., the dew might not have been there. Even at 4 a.m., the dew might not have been there. But then when the sun rises, just before the sun rises, suddenly there's dew on the grass. Where did it come from? Why is there suddenly water? Suddenly the Kapha dosha has come. How amazing, right? How amazing. And that's really the time when we're building the foundation for our day. So that is the time when we have breakfast. Ideally, we should have breakfast. Ayurveda really recommends having a good breakfast. If you want to skip a meal, skip dinner, but please don't skip breakfast. And that is the time when we ground ourselves, when we set the foundation for the day. That is when we make stability. So it's also a great time if you didn't move during the Vāta dosha, if you didn't do like your sun salutations before the sun rose, then do it now. Now is the time. Do some exercise. Many of us have jobs. We have to work from, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, or whatever it is these days. So then move at least during Vāta. If you're not working, like me, then you can do exercise also during Kapha dosha. That's fine. So it's a great time to build that foundation for the day, and also to have breakfast, right? And now think about that. What happens if you have a really heavy breakfast after sunrise at 7 o'clock? what happens? Imagine it's 7 o'clock in the morning, the sun just rose, it's Kapha time, and now I'm going to have like a cheeseburger with chips and a fruit salad and yogurt, which is like really bad food combining. And with that, I'm going to have orange juice. So it's a really heavy meal, okay? It's not even about the bad food combining. It's just about you have a really heavy meal for breakfast. So what do you guys think is going to happen? So think about it. It's a heavy and slow time. It's Kapha time. It's heavy, it's slow. And I'm eating something that's really heavy. So what's going to happen? Anyone has done that? So when I was a monk, there was this thing that sometimes like if I would tell you some stories, I think what you think of monks would completely change forever. But I just try to keep it yeah. Anyway, so basically what happened was sometimes once a week, depending on which temple I was, but once a week we would get invited to some families, usually Indian families, or at least very pious families, and they would feed us. They would cook an amazing feast for us. They would cook like 100 like maybe 20 preparations, and we would come to the house. We all woke up around 4 o'clock, like every day, do our meditation, and by 9 o'clock we go to the house and then we eat there. And we would have like, and it's like, often they were Indian families, and often Indians, they really like multi-cuisine. So we'd have like pizza, we would have pasta, then we would have Chinese noodles, then we have Manchurian balls, then we would have like all these bunch of different things, and we would eat that, and they would feed us like anything, because they would think, I mean, not all of them, but some of them would think that the more they feed us, we're eating their karma, and they're getting released from all their bad karma, and we are eating, and some, they're just like us, you know, but this, anyways, a whole different story. So what do you think happened if you would go back to the temple at 10 o'clock after having like these huge breakfast? What would we do?
You'll sleep.
Exactly, because it's a heavy time, right? Breakfast, it's Kapha time, 6 to 8, 6 to 10, it's a Kapha time, it's a heavy time. And if you eat something heavy, you're only going to be more heavy. So you should have breakfast, but it should be moderate, like moderate quantity, should be light. You don't want to like knock yourself out in the morning. And then we would not eat until the next day, basically. So that's another rule according to Ayurveda. If you ate too much, just skip the next meal. Like that, we balance it. If you eat the next meal, oh my goodness, then God help you. Okay. After 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, it becomes Pitta time. In Pitta, we have fire, right? Fire, a little bit of water. I also should have mentioned, in Pitta, there's more fire than water, right? And in Kapha, usually there's also more water than earth. So Pitta time is from 10 to 2, which means the sun is the highest, right? The sun is the highest, and also in our stomach we have Agni. So some of my advanced astrology students, they know there's this connection between Surya, the sun, and Agni. Agni is the earthly representation of the sun, and we have a little sun in our stomach. And a little fire, and it digests food. And when the sun is the highest, that's also when we can digest the most. So during lunchtime, ideally when the sun is the highest, which is ideally about 12 o'clock, we should have our biggest meal of the day. And most things can be digested during lunchtime. Like we can have a lot of variety. Also Ayurveda really favors to have variety on our plate. Ideally all 6 tastes should be present, and according to which dosha we are, we just change the quantity of that particular taste. But during lunchtime, we would really want to load up with some complex carbs. We want to have a lot of protein. We want to have some good quality fats during lunchtime. And whatever we eat during lunch, we're so much more likely to digest it. In our Western culture, we tend to have our biggest meal as dinner, because that's when we socialize. But so much of that is not going to get digested. It will just be in your stomach, then you go to sleep, and we will speak about that when we speak about Kapha. But that's when we want to have our biggest meal. That's also the time, just before lunch is also the time when we want to conquer our biggest obstacles of the day. So from 10 to 12, that is when you want to do your hardest tasks. Let's say you have to do this assessment for university. Let's say your boss gave you this really tough task to do. You wanted to call this person that you had to speak to, and you're really trying to push the call away. You do it before lunch. That is when you have Pitta. That's when you have all this fire. If you want to respect Pitta dosha, that's what you do. And then after that, then you fight the second biggest battle of the day, which is you have a nice lunch. And then after lunch, you relax because the Pitta is now busy breaking down the food. Ideally, Ayurveda does not recommend exercise from 10 to 2 because there's already so much fire. So you're just heating up the body, but more particularly in summer. If it's summer, it's Pitta season. You're a Pitta person. You shouldn't go to the gym between 10 and 2. It will just cause a lot of inflammation in the body, etc. Now, after that, after 2 o'clock, and my dear friends, please don't have lunch at 2 o'clock. It is, if you have lunch at 2 o'clock, you're just at the end of Pitta season, right? You just miss the entire fire. Unless you're doing intermittent fasting and you're skipping dinner, then that you can definitely accommodate that. But if you're having 3 meals a day, it is better not to have lunch at 2 p.m. because the Pitta season is over. Like you're not going to be able to break down as much as you would if you would have eaten it 2 hours earlier. You won't be able to digest as much. If you're having lunch at 2 o'clock, maybe better have a lighter breakfast and have lunch earlier. Because it's not about how much you eat, it is really about how much you can digest. And we see some people, they eat so much, but they're still really thin because they're not digesting it. It's just going through them, right? And also some people, they eat very little, but actually very big. Again, the same problem could happen too, actually, that they're not digesting it. It just goes through, and the only thing that comes that they get out of the food is toxins rather than nourishment. So when you eat, so important. And that's why the whole society is cheating you. So you see, I'm getting a bit hungry, so I'm getting a bit more critical. But whole society is lying at you because they put these like calorie things on your meal, and you're counting your calories, you're counting your protein, you're counting your fat, but how much are you actually digesting? You cannot tell how much you're digesting from what is written on that label. And some great dietitians and nutritionists have pointed that out too. And I bet in the next 50 years it's going to change. I put that out here. So Pitta is also that I would like to revolutionize. They like to throw over the government, etc. So just putting that here as a side note. It's much more about how much do you absorb than how much you actually put in. And some people actually, if once you eat the right food at the right time, you might even eat less, but gain more positive muscle mass, or you eat more and actually lose weight. That is the most miraculous thing. So yeah, cool. Now after 2 p.m. we enter Vāta time. Enough Pitta. So Vāta time, we can see after 2 p.m. often it can get a little cooler, right? It's a bit cooler, it can get a bit more windy. It's Vāta season. It's also, that's a time for creativity, right? It's again air and space. It's the best time to socialize, to be creative, to reflect, right? Air and space. Again, we can reflect. How was that day? What did I do today? The family can gather. We can have dinner together, speak about it. There's that social element because of the space. Really, really nice. We can move a bit. If we didn't get exercise done earlier, then now is the last time to, or not the last, but the second last time to do our exercise. It's best to have dinner. Let's write this out. Oops. I think my pen went out of ink. No, okay, all good. So breakfast here, lunch here, and dinner would be best at this time, during Vāta time, before the sun sets. Because once the sun sets, digestion slows down a lot, and especially if you're going to eat grains, they're not going to make it. And you make the experiment, wait until sunset and eat a lot of grains. Eat your pasta, macaroni with cheese on top. Do the experiment. Tell me how you feel. I bet you will feel tired afterwards. Because those grains, they're not going to get digested. And let's explore that a bit deeper. So after 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, we have Kapha time, which means everything starts slowing down. Ideally, we should reduce our activities. We should not be like on our screen at 8 p.m. listening to a class or listening to a Oh, no, I shouldn't say that. Ideally, after the sun goes down, we should relax. We should calm down a little bit. And we should really reduce screens after a certain time. Obviously, with modern life, you have to make some adjustments. But if you want to respect the Kapha dosha, then we slow down. After 6 o'clock, we slow down. We should not raise our voice. We should not even have conversations which could be really aggravating. Like if we want to bring something up before family members or loved ones or a partner, let's not bring it up between 6 and 10 o'clock. Yeah, let's wait for the next day. Let's maybe do it during Pitta time or do it at the end of Kapha time in the morning, right? When there's still energy, when there's the ability to really transform it and break it down. Because if you do it at dinner time, no one's going to sleep very well. Because it's time to slow down. It's the time to enjoy peacefulness. If you can, go out and watch the moonlight. Wow, how beautiful. Read a book. Play some relaxing music. Sounds like kindergarten, but this is what we should teach kids in school. So what you can have some hot milk for dinner time or hot drink before you go to bed. Unless you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, then not. But having some hot milk, that would be a great thing to do at dinner. Usually 90 minutes after dinner, 40 minutes before we go to bed. And I know there's the whole thing about the dairy industry, and we can address that, but you would have to ask a question after this. Otherwise, I'm not going to open the Pandora box. After 10 o'clock is Pitta time again. So, have you ever been up at midnight? And at midnight, suddenly you get hungry. Have you ever noticed that? Like suddenly at 10 o'clock it starts, 11, 12 o'clock, and suddenly you get again cravings for like pizza or for heavy foods. Or suddenly you have been on the screen and at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock you got tired, but then suddenly at 10 o'clock we wake up again. Have you experienced that? That is because there's again Pitta time at midnight. And ideally at this time, we should be deep asleep. Because if we are deep asleep by 10 o'clock, at 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock in the morning, then, and if our stomach is empty, then this Pitta, this fire in our stomach, it can actually leave the stomach and it will focus on other parts on the body. In the same way, like when you don't have any work to do, you can go for a vacation, right? So also the Pitta in your stomach, it has nothing to digest. So it has to do something. It is fire, it has to burn. So if the stomach is empty and we are in bed, we are sleeping, it's the Pitta is not in our mind trying to like check out if there's any amazing reel on Facebook or something like that. Then that Pitta will clean up the body. And especially if your person is over 45, for example, or over 40 and not underweight, then most people don't need 3 meals actually, according to Ayurveda. And then having 2 meals, or if a person also has a lot of Kapha dosha anyways, then they could have a light dinner. And then at night, their body will go into autophagy, which means the body will start eating itself. And even the craziest of disease, like autoimmune, even cancer, if the person is not underweight, just doing intermittent fasting, skipping dinner, the body can eat itself. The body can eat all these toxic cells. The body can start healing itself. And if you're not respecting Pitta dosha, if you're sleeping continuously after 10 p.m. at night, then Ayurveda says we're going to get disease of the body. If we are continuously waking up after sunrise, then we're going to get disease of the mind. And if we do both, then yeah, like increases like, so it's not going to be so much better. Therefore, another thing that can really change our life, change our pathology, is just to sleep before 10 o'clock. It's so powerful. And for that, to sleep before 10 o'clock, ideally we should reduce our screens before maybe 8 or something, and we could have a really nice wind down ritual. And then at night, the body can repair itself, we can detox, we can have deep sleep, and we can wake up with energy and refreshed. Doesn't that sound wonderful? So I openly admit learning this was probably one of the most amazing things I've learned in my Ayurveda journey. And at least, I mean, there were so many things, but that was so amazing. And if you can structure your day according to this, I put the bet out here that a lot of pathology that any person can have, I would say 50% of pathology could be removed just by aligning our lives to nature's rhythm. And if not, I challenge you. And I actually challenge you. So I actually challenge all of you. So here, I put it here. 21-day challenge. I challenge all of you. So from today onwards, like you can take this workshop. I'm so happy you have all have come here to listen to this. I know many of you also maybe just listening to the recording, but I'm challenging all of you to do this 21-day experiment. And for 21 days, try to eat according to your dosha, try to eat according to your constitution. If you still have some questions and doubts, I have a document that I will send all of you afterwards. It is about 10 pages where it speaks a bit more about Vāta, Pitta, and Kapha, and Vāta, Kapha, Pitta, Kapha, all the permutations, and which tastes, which foods, which lifestyles we would recommend for them. And I would challenge you for 21 days, starting from next Monday, try to follow the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule means 80% of your diet you eat according to what is good for you. 80% of the time you eat according to your constitution. 20% of the time you can relapse. You know, that means you have 1 week, and of this 1 week, maybe you can have 2 meals that were not exactly what was good for you. Like, usually your body can make up for it. But the other, I don't know, 14, 20 meals, you try to eat according to your constitution. Try to have your biggest meal at lunchtime. Try to respect the times. That is one challenge for your first week. Also, try to wake up before the sun. Try to sleep by 10 o'clock. And a connection. You see, I think not all of you, but most of you are in my school community. So maybe you can share something with our community every day. You can put a post here, this is my lunch, right? And then I give you some feedback on it if you like. I'm here to assist you on this beautiful journey of learning Ayurveda, of becoming, if you're healthy, of becoming superpowers. If you're not, if you're having any type of pathology, to remove that pathology, to again live a healthy life. So I'm challenging you to start from next Monday onwards by following this 80-20 rule, having your biggest meal at lunchtime, waking up before the sun, sleeping by 10. If you need some help with that, please let me know. And then to engage. So maybe once a day you can send a picture. Oh, this was my lunch. This was my dinner. I'm this constitution. What do you think, Keshri? And I will let you know. I'll let you know, okay? And then after second week, right, you can integrate. If you wake up, you still do it. You still do it. Yeah, it's a continuous line. Okay, you can do it for the rest of your life, or at least for 3 weeks, to you know, get the special prize at the end of the 21-day challenge. And after week 2, you could start in the morning to do some Surya Namaskar. I think some of you know Surya Namaskar. If you don't, there's a video in my school you can all watch. It's available for everyone. And you can also do 5 minutes of Anulam Vilam, like a good morning routine. If you go to our Vāta time, good morning routine means maybe you wake up at 5 a.m. Or maybe I don't want to scare you. You wake up at, let's say, they just changed the clock. So 6 o'clock is 5 o'clock, I think. Yeah, let's say 5:30 is a great time. So let's say you wake up at 5:30, and then you do your hygiene in the morning. You take your shower, you brush your teeth, you scrub your tongue, you have your bowel movement. You're ready by like 5:50, and then you do 10 minutes of exercise, 10 minutes of Surya Namaskar. Then you do 5 minutes of pranayama, of breath. And there you go, you're ready to go, okay? It's 6:05 and you still have the whole day, and now you've already set yourself up for success, okay? And you can save yourself thousands of dollars of medical bills, okay? So that's all I'm saying here. And then after week 3, you can even read 1 page of an inspiring book. We also need some inspiration. So I would love to hear which inspiring books you're reading. I can let you know which books I'm reading too, and we can inspire each other. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Like, didn't you always want a community and everyone's like, yeah, you know, this is the food I'm eating and this is really what balances me. And what are you eating? How did you balance yourself today? And yeah, I went to bed at 10 o'clock last night and this morning woke up at 5:30. Oh, I feel so good. Didn't you always want to have friends like that? But I do. So you're all welcome. You're all welcome, all of you. And that is the challenge. Do you have any questions? Does anyone have questions? Please stay on. There's some announcement, and I will send some documents through. But does anyone have any questions from this? It is 8:03, so I think did my best to stick to the time. Wow. Only one person at a time, please.
There's no question. I don't have a question as such, but maybe just more of a point of discussion.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Um,
But remember, it's Kapha time, okay? So nothing that is too controversial or agitating, or, you know, I don't want anyone to have nightmares.
You know how much I love talking about controversial things. I'll try my best. I think it's really important to understand that when we talk about eating according to our dosha, it doesn't mean that we want to cut out everything that is going to aggravate. So let's say we're Vata by constitution, and then we cut out everything that could induce Vata. But actually, that's also not a very balanced or healthy approach.
Yeah, I had one
Maybe you
client.
can
I had one client who did that. So I had one client. She listened to Dr. Ladd, who is an amazing Ayurvedic doctor. Like I learned in the tradition from Dr. Ladd, and he pointed out that Vata individuals, they should not have too much bitter, which means they should not have too many leafy greens, because it will just aggravate them. Because leafy greens are like light and dry. If you a salad leaf, if you rip it, it cracks, right? The salad leaves, they crack. And that cracking sound, it tells us there's air in the salad. And Vatas, they already have so much air. So if they eat too much salad, it just makes them, it can give them anxiety. It just makes them more dry. It can make them, it can cause a bit of a stir. So this lady, she just took out all bitter tastes from her diet, all of them. And then when she came to me, she had, I looked at her tongue and she had like so much ama, and she had all the symptoms of a person who has too much toxin loads, toxic buildup, because we all need bitter taste. Even the Vata person needs bitter taste, but just less bitter taste, because bitter is that which purifies our blood, which purifies us. So if we don't eat enough bitter, then we can have more ama, we can have more toxins build up in our body. So everything has to be taken in moderation, and a healthy plate should have all the 6 tastes. And that is why I would really love to see some lunch bowls and breakfast bowls in our school community over the next 3 weeks. Please just post it. I will show you as well how to do that. Actually, maybe I can do that now. But a healthy lunch, a healthy dinner, even a heavy breakfast, ideally should have all the 6 tastes. And the nice thing is, if you follow Ayurveda, the whole family can eat together and they can actually have the same dinner, but the proportions will change. The Vata person might have a little bit less salad. The Pitta person will have more salad, right? And more greens, let's put it that way, more cooked greens, like we really like cooked vegetables. The Vata person can put some more spices on her food, on his food. She can put some more pepper with it. She can have some more, there's an Ayurvedic spice blend called Hingashtak, which has a hing and 8 other spices, ashtak. And this is great for Vata individuals because hing, pepper, ginger, they all increase more, they give more fire and more digestion. So in a family where all the 3 doshas eat together, they can have the same meal, but then the Vata person will just put a bit more of those spices on it, while the Pitta person can grab some more of those greens. The Kapha person can maybe have a bit less of the grains, but more of the veggies, etc. So it's very nice. It is very universal. And yeah, and let me share this with you. So, so most of you know, most of you are who are online are in my school, except for maybe 2 or 3 expectations. So,
exception.
Exceptions. Yeah, please excuse English, second language mine. Can you see this? Yeah. So this is my wonderful school community. I mean, I'm a bit biased, it's mine, so I say it's wonderful. But I advise you, accept this 21-day challenge. And there's so many of you here. There's 12 people online. There's at least another 15 people who will listen to it. And they're starting from next Monday. Why don't you write something once a day, all of you? You can select Ayurveda, right, in the category list, or whatever you want, but Ayurveda would be the right thing to select. And then you can post a picture here, attachment, right? You can, oops, maybe I shouldn't show you all my attachments. But you can add an attachment, and you can upload a picture of your lunch, or you can upload a picture of your breakfast or of your dinner, and you can share it with us, and then we can give you some feedback, or I can give you some feedback according to Ayurveda. What does it do to your body, and according to your constitution? If you have any doubts of your constitution as well, I can help you with that. And if we do it all together, then you're not only, let me stop share this again. Then not only will we all have some amazing inspirations for cooking, but also we'll all follow this 80-20 rule of eating according to our constitution. And we will also have this wonderful engagement with community and that divine connection, right? That is so soothing, that everyone lacks, and like the connection with each other that many people lack in our modern society. And you can even write in Ayurveda, wow, I slept at 10 p.m. and I woke up at 5:30. I feel so enlightened. So, little invitation here. Does that answer your question, or did I go on too much of a tangent?
You mean
No, that's all good. I have one.
Yes.
I have a question. Do we because sometimes we have cravings.
Oh,
So like do we listen to them or do we not listen to them? Like, how do we know what's the right craving and what's not the right craving according to our body type?
love that. Love that. So actually, cravings are very normal and they're very natural. And usually in a healthy state, our body has healthy cravings, because in our body, every cell is intelligent. Every cell in our body has consciousness, and they know what they want. The problem is, if we have, let's say, here's the cell nucleus, here's the cell membrane, here's those 50 things, here's anyways, I failed in biology, but we have those cells all over our body, and they all have intelligence and they all have consciousness even, and they will let our soul, they will let us know what they desire, what they want. And they often want to balance themselves. They just want to feed themselves. The problem is, if we have a poor digestion, if we do wrong food combining, if we eat at the wrong times, if we don't follow nature's rhythms, then we have this evil thing. How can I make it look more evil?
Evil cells, evil bacteria.
No, ama. It's called ama. That's the evil. There's the evil thing in Ayurveda. It's called ama. Ama means toxins. And there's an English word for it. Ooh, I forgot. And ama builds up because of poor food choices and poor lifestyle choices. And ama, basically what it does, it clouds our cell. It starts in our digestion, but then it gets assimilated into our bloodstream, and from there it goes into all our dhatus, it goes into all of our tissues, and eventually covers those cells, and it perverts their intelligence. And then they start, instead of desiring what is good for them, they start desiring more toxins. So that is why we can see, have you ever seen Super Size Me? The documentary Super Size Me, great movie to watch, by the way.
About the McDonald's guy?
Yeah, the McDonald's guy, So another homework. So after you watch Ace Ventura, the Pet Detective, or something like that, yeah, you all watch Super Size Me as well. And let me know in the school. But he just ate McDonald's he ate so much McDonald's, right, every day. And suddenly as well, he developed a lot of even worse food cravings than he had before, bad food cravings. So if we eat a lot of junk, it just attracts more junk, more desire for junk. So therefore, also sometimes cravings can be just a result of a polluted cell that wants more pollution, while a healthy cell has healthy cravings. So how do we know? Well, we know through using our intelligence, through using our discernment. And that discernment we can use if we study the qualities in our environment, and if we study the qualities of the food and what we need. So every time we have a craving, we can ask ourselves, am I eating this because I want to balance my gunas? Or am I eating this because I'm bored? Or am I eating this because I just really want some Pringles chips, some potato chips? So that is important question to ask. Does that make sense? So for example, Caleb, tell me. So when I was in South Africa a year ago, suddenly I had these crazy cravings for vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
And actually bought, like, we went to the store and I bought like 5 different vinegars. And I really wanted a salad like with some nice vinegar on it. Was that, and I just traveled, I just flew to South Africa. So just like one day after landed. So do you think that is a healthy or unhealthy craving?
Oh, I have no idea.
No idea. Okay. So which gunas do you think vinegar has?
I think that's Pitta.
It's fire, right? Yeah, it's pungent. It's pungent. Like vinegar is pungent. So pungent taste. I mean, obviously, we didn't go into so much depth. It's an introduction, but pungent taste obviously has fire, right? And I was just traveling. So there you go. That's plain. I was traveling, and traveling aggravates Vāta because it's movement. So my Vāta dosha was a bit out of balance after I traveled. So I wanted that. I was feeling a bit like, I was feeling a bit dull as well. And also I was feeling a bit dull. It's more Kapha quality. I was feeling a bit like all over the place. And I was needed some more sharpness, like to where I am. So therefore that craving for vinegar actually was really nice. So that was fine. So now another time when I was in...
I've got a question before you move on.
Yeah.
Vinegar, is that considered tamas?
Yeah, vinegar, Ayurveda doesn't speak super highly of too much fermented foods. We all need fermented foods in our diet, but we can overdo it. So it really depends which type of vinegar. So if you have like this kind of white vinegar that they use to kind of scrub pots and stuff that they use that, to clean like your toilet bowl or something like that, not that white vinegar. But if you get some like good quality vinegar, it is fine if you're, it's fine in moderation. Generally vinegar is not good for Pitta because Pitta is already fired, so we don't want to fire. But vinegar can be good for Vāta, right? If in moderation, okay, in moderation. If a person has strong Vāta dosha, to really help them to break down those salad leaves, those dry leaves, they can put some vinegar on it. It is fine. If a person has autoimmune disease, too much inflammation, like forget it, no vinegar. Again, everything can be poison for someone, and everything can be medicine. So that is important point to understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if a person desires ice cream in winter, if they crave ice cream in winter, what do you think?
That's unhealthy.
That's yeah, it's out of balance, right? It's not appropriate. It's and you can have it. Maybe you can have it, but then at least have it at midday. Don't have it at night. Have ice cream just by itself. Make sure you're really hungry, and maybe make sure it's not super cold. Make sure at least you're in a warm environment. Make sure you take good care of your throat afterwards, etc., etc. So it's really like Ayurveda is not about just some rigid rules and denying yourself all types of enjoyment. That's not what Ayurveda is about. Ayurveda is about understanding your guna, understanding the guna, your quality, the quality of the environment, the quality of your food, and what can bring balance.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that is why it's said. That is even some people even say if a person has Vāta dosha and they're very thin, I mean, obviously there's a catch to it. I mean, I should be careful with these statements, but there's a catch to it. But sometimes you can say, hey, you can even eat junk. Like you can even have a little bit of junk food in your diet. Like it's not going to harm you as much, right? If a person has a lot of weight issues, they have problems gaining weight, obviously we would recommend them to have some light foods first, some vegetable stews, etc., to build their agni, to build their fire. But then eventually we would teach them that it's okay as well for them to have a bit more of those like really heavy foods that we would not recommend everyone else. And Ayurveda also says that if a person has good digestion, then that is good digestion equals a long life and good health. Because if a person has good digestion, whatever they eat, even if they eat junk, they will just completely break it down. I mean, if they keep eating junk, then that good digestion will be gone very soon. But digestion is health, agni is health. So a person's good digestion, whatever they eat, they will turn it into energy. And whatever toxins will come into their body, they will also destroy. So often the first go-to in Ayurveda, and I mean, those who have been with consultations with me, usually every single client that comes to me, we always first strengthen Agni. We always first strengthen the digestion, because if our digestion goes off, then everything will go off. And that's why Ayurveda says that all diseases are rooted in the stomach. So little tangent here. Yeah, what does it tell me about your latest cravings, Caleb?
Twix bar.
Twix bar. Nice.
I was actually tempted to have one tonight, but then I thought I'll have it 12 o'clock tomorrow.
12 o'clock midnight or 12 o'clock lunchtime?
Lunchtime.
You have it with your lunch or after your lunch or with your lunch?
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe before.
maybe before, just before or half an hour before?
Just before eating lunch.
Sure, just before, yeah. For Pitta individuals, I know you have a fair amount of Pitta in you too. So like Pitta individuals can have sweet before their lunch, actually. Just a little bit, just 1 or 2 bites, and then 1 or 2 bites after, because digestion starts with the sweet taste. So sometimes sweet taste can be good to start the meal. So often if I have a plate as well, it's good to start first with rice, etc. Now with Twix, that is very old. Ayurveda favors fresh food, and anything that is cooked more than 3 hours ago in general, it loses a lot of prana. So Twix is really old, and also it has so many nasties in it. So what I can recommend, one really nice snack for you in this scenario, I would really recommend, it is a ladu, maybe in a different color, give it a nice color, ladu. And that ladu, it's made from dates. You put an almond inside. You put some ghee on top. And then you take some really good quality coconut flakes.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine this?
Take
a roasted almond, by the way. Or an activated almond, or whatever, right? Yeah. It will be so good. Like, it will actually give you energy. It will actually be digested. It will taste so nice. Just putting it there. Some substitute, right? You can never give up something unless you have something better. Amazing. That's true. Amazing. We're working on the cooking module in our school. So we have some cool things to come, like with a lot of recipes in our 5-star cook, Ganga. Yeah. Okay. Is there any other questions? Anyone else had a question? Thank you so much for coming. I know it is a bit late. So from here, what I would invite you all, despite participating in a 21-day challenge, if you're interested in the challenge, hey, please send me a private message as well, either on school or through my number or through my email or through in any way that you prefer. And if you're hungry for more, we have a 12-week course about Ayurveda come up in 1 month from now, or approximately 1 month from now, on the 5th of December. I think it's the 5th of December. So maybe I pulled it earlier. 5th of December, end of November, coming up soon. Please join us. You can learn a lot about Ayurveda, learn a lot about yourself, about your body, about your pathology. You will be able to realign with nature. You can build lifelong habits for balance and vitality. You can save yourself 5 surgeries. I'm just joking. You can save yourself a lot of trouble, okay? Let's put it that way. You can save yourself a lot of trouble. You will learn about nutrition, about routines, about digestion. There's so many secrets there. How to improve sleep, how about cleanses and detoxes, and about emotions and which emotions are connected to which of your organs, right? For example, muscles, they are connected to courage and stability. So if a person has a lot of fear in their life, then often can mean that also their muscle, their Mamsa Dhatu is a bit weaker, right? And if a person has a lot of muscles, then naturally they feel a little bit more stable. They feel a little bit more courageous, right? There's that connection. Blood is connected to enthusiasm. So if people have blood disorders like low iron, and suddenly they lose all their enthusiasm. Isn't that amazing? Right? How all our body carries emotions, and you can learn about that. Super cool. Maybe we speak about it, how all your organs are on your tongue, and you can just look at the tongue in the mirror and you can see how your gut is doing and how your spine is doing in your tongue. Isn't that cool? So you have all your organs in your ear too, but not in this one. And we also integrated a little bit. Some people know I also practice yoga therapy. So we put some yoga therapy there too, like some amazing pranayams and some amazing movements that everyone should know, and a basic understanding of human pathology straight from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Pretty mind-blowing stuff. I have a psych background as well, by the way, but this is better than anything I've ever learned in my psych background, and I'm a little bit biased, and even we put a small sprinkles of Vedic astrology in there too, because they're all connected. Yoga, astrology, Ayurveda, they're all yogic sciences, and they're really cool. So we're starting in a few weeks. You're all very much invited. If you are, please let me know. Just send me a message or jump on a call. In any case, even if you're not interested, let's jump on a call. For all of you, you're all invited. And all of you in the recording, you're also invited. If you're listening to this 2035 in Colombo, please, this offer is still valid. Yeah, send me a message. And all of you here live, please, if you like, I invite you. I would love to meet all of you. So, and wherever you are in your journey, if you wanted to dive into Ayurveda, do a 12-week. If you wanted to dive into Ayurveda, do a 12-week immersion together with me and together with a group, you're welcome. If you don't, that's fine. Maybe you just want to hear next step about where you are in your health journey and what to do. Maybe you're just confused about what's your constitution. No problem. Hey, you're all welcome to join me and have a quick call. And I will share this link in the chat with you. So even now, why not? If you have the time, let me find this link and share it with you. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So I posted this link in the Zoom chat. So all of you, you're invited. Just click on the link right now and find a time on my calendar, and you can book a quick call with me for 15 minutes. And I'm not wanting to I'm not going to promote my course. I'm not wanting to sell you anything. I just want to offer you a next step in your journey of health, in your journey of Ayurveda, or anything in life. You can also ask me, but particularly in terms of your journey in health and wellness and Ayurveda, and if you're worried about your constitution, or what it would be a next step to take. Maybe you had a problem that you want to lose. Maybe you have a friend and you want to help them. Please, this is your chance. This is my invitation. And while you are doing this, I will play some funky music while you're finding a time on the calendar. I'm just joking. While you're doing this, I will send you some documents here in the Zoom chat that will have some cheat sheets for your constitution, which foods to eat. It will also have a checklist if you want to do the 21-day challenge. So please hold on for another minute, and then we can all go for some good night's sleep.
Watch what magnesium.
Oh, sorry. Did you hear that? Actually, I was trying to play this nice song. So if you haven't booked a time on the calendar, while I'm sending the documents, I'm playing this nice lounge music so you feel inspired. Okay, where's the document? Okay, so I've sent 2 documents in the chat. One of them is the 21-day challenge. So if you look at it, it has some descriptions there. It has some tick boxes. If you wanted to take that, you can tick the box whenever you follow the anti-20 rule, whenever you posted something in our school, when you did your breath work in the morning, you can tick the box and you can feel some achievement. And I've also posted the dosha cheat sheet, which has some explanations about Ayurvedic nutrition, about the different tastes, and we couldn't really dive into it as much, but we spoke about the document speaks about the tastes and how they balance the different constitutions, and you can learn about a Vāta pacifying diet, about the Pitta pacifying diet. What if you're like Vāta, Pitta, or Kapha, Vāta, and which foods will work well for you, to give you some directions. And for some of you who are not yet in my school, I put another link here. If you would like to stay connected, here is a link. You're all invited to join. We have a school community where we have more resources on Ayurveda, more resources on yoga, more resources on astrology. And every month we have a masterclass like this. The next month we're going to speak about relationship synastry. That's interesting. We have a lot of things come up, so you're all welcome to join. So with that note, I will leave it here, and I will stay on if anyone has some burning questions, but otherwise I wish you a good night, and thank you so much for making the effort to see me on a Tuesday evening. Thank you all, and I wish you a wonderful good night. Thank you, Monish. Thank you, Zoe.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you, Holly. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you. It was very good. It was a good session.
Oh, thank you, Eleni. It was great. I'm
Because
so
I
happy
had
you
mine
joined.
this morning. I didn't book you again. I'll wait for another thing to come
Yes,
up.
yes, of course.
Yes. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.